following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello and welcome to the Box Score Breakdown Show presented by Hoop Ball. My name is Adrian Benjamins and I'm joined by Neil Rochlani, and this episode is brought to you by Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company. Get some delicious coffee, taste the Kona difference. Head over to hawaiianisles.com. You can also find their coffee over at Amazon. Neil, how are you doing? Man, another crazy night of NBA games. How are you doing, man?
Jam-packed NBA action. Some sad news in Indiana. I was trying to find a metaphor for James Harden. He's just incredible.
He's ridiculous.
Some pickups though that are interesting too to talk about that have been kind of delivering. That I've fortunately at least one I've been able to jump on. Yeah, we got a lot of games tonight. Let's talk about the big news. Maybe we can probably get into Oladipo when we go to Indiana. Should we just jump right in?
Let's do it. I think it's your turn.
It's my turn. Was Toronto, Indiana the first game? Was that?
I believe Toronto and Indiana was first.
All right. I'm going to do something creative and not read off every box score. Just look at the ones that I think are interesting, since I think everyone has access to these things. Anyway, let's look at I'll look at Toronto's side. The one thing that jumped out to me, Pascal Siakam had a rough night shooting, 5 to 16. That should not continue. Don't worry about that. Ibaka continues to be strong. Lowry had a great game in defeat. Not much to take away from here except Van Fleet, a second night in a row. He shot 5 of 14, so struggled a bit, but did put up 14 shots, 2 3-pointers, 14 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. I still think this is off, I think, a back-to-back. So I think whenever, or maybe it's not off back-to-back, but 2 games in a row. Whenever either Lowry or Leonard is not starting, I think Van Fleet should be in your lineup. And he's looked really good. He's been coming over an injury. He's overcoming an injury. He's not 100%, but I think he's getting better, which is reflecting in the stats. And I would say pick him up if he's still out there. All right. What are your thoughts on Toronto?
Neil, I am done with Danny Green. I am not going to play this guy until Kawhi Leonard returns. I am serious. I am moving him to my bench until Kawhi Leonard returns. I'm not dropping him, but I'm just going to move him to my bench. These are roto leagues where I have a games limit in each spot. I am tired of wasting games on this guy. That's all I got, man. I'm going to jump over.
I know. He's one of those guys that if you pay attention to him, he drives me crazy, which is why I can never play a guy like that. Anyway, go ahead and go on Indiana.
I'm jumping over to Indiana. As Neil mentioned, we're going to just mostly focus on the interesting stat lines because, I think we're wasting a little bit of time when we read off every single guys who aren't even really relevant or guys that most of you don't even care about. But the biggest news of the night has to be Victor Oladipo. Hurt his knee, non-contact, looked horrible. We're already hearing that he's going to require surgery. This is coming from Woj. Who is, as reliable as it gets. So this is devastating. Neil, we were talking before we started recording this. He was my number 1 pick in my home league, and this pretty much takes me completely out of that league. I'm done in that league. I also have Clint Capella, who's out, Kyle Anderson, who's out. I have Dennis Smith Jr., who just got back. I am just doing really poor in that league. But anyways, this is horrible. Look, you guys, I think Tyreke Evans makes an interesting pickup. Now, when Oladipo missed time earlier in the season, Tyreke Evans wasn't exactly lighting the league on fire. So I still have low expectations for Tyreke Evans, but I think he could be worth a speculative add. Darren Collison as well, who why don't I go into Darren Collison? 17 points with 8 assists, 4 rebounds, 5 of 13 from the field, 7 of 8 from the line. Make sure Darren Collison's own. Another guy who could see a bump, Thaddeus Young, 23 points, 2 steals, 2 blocks. He went crazy tonight, actually. 15 boards, 3 assists, 2 threes tonight, 10 of 19 from the field. He had an outstanding game. I'm not going to mention Bogdanovic. He did what he always does, 16 points with the full line. Miles Turner looked good, double-double, 13 points, 10 boards, 4 block. Look for Miles Turner to get a usage bump as well. You know, Victor Oladipo takes a lot of shots. Now there's a lot of shots that are up for grab. One thing that I think that is worth noting, Sabonis only getting 14 minutes in this one, was in foul trouble, had 5 fouls, still had 12 points, 6 rebounds, you know, still useful even in 14 minutes. Keep him locked and loaded. Neil, what do you think of the Pacers?
Yeah, just terrible news for Oladipo. Yeah, the two options are Evans or Corey Joseph. And I think, you know, on the season, Corey Joseph's 170, Evans is 202. Neither one really looked great when Victor was out. So I think you can add either one. I think Evans I'd rather have. But I think they're both speculative ads. I would not think it's a no-brainer that either one's going to be a top 12 team value. Sabonis, very strange. I think it's just, I would just write that off of the game situation or maybe something else going on. And yeah, Collison's 93rd on the year, probably already owned, but if you own him, I think you're sitting pretty. I think his points will increase. I think his 3-pointers will increase. I think his assists might increase. Yeah, he's in line for maybe top 75 value now. We'll see. All right, let's go on. Anything else before I go on to Cleveland, Boston?
Nope.
All right, Cleveland against Boston. The Cavs come in here, lose 103-123. Cleveland side, nice night from some of these guys who we thought could be pretty good this year. Let's start with my favorite up-and-comer, Colin Sexton, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. You know, he got 2 3-pointers. He did struggle from the line, 2 of 4, and from the field, no defensive stats. But this is something like I expected him this year to be putting up in the second half of the season once he got more familiar with his team, getting more assists. I know he's not necessarily a pass-first guy, but I figured he'd find a way. And we'll see if this gets any better for him. Osman had a great night, 25 points. I think it's just a function of good shooting tonight. I would not count on this any other night. Hood, kind of a dud. Burks had a solid night, but again, I wouldn't trust it. And then let's see. That's really it. Zizic, again, I have not. If you own him, you can stream him. 19 points, 8 rebounds tonight. So decent line from him, no defensive stats. Any thoughts on the Cavs?
Not much for me to add. We talked about Zizic earlier in the week, and he is. We said that he could be worth a stream in the short term while Thompson's out, Love is out, Larry Nance is out. He has not disappointed. He looked pretty good here. That's about it, man. Not much else to add there. Going to jump over to the Celtics side. The biggest line that stands out to me, Neil, Terry Rozier. This is great, man. Hey, we talked about it on the last show. I think he's worth a speculative ad. He could get a guy that could possibly get moved at the trade deadline, kind of showing a glimpse of what he's capable of in a starting guard role. 26 points, 6 assists, 8 boards, a steal. Looked fantastic. Other than that, let's see. No Kyrie Irving in this one, which is why Rozier got the big minutes. Al Horford didn't play in this one as well. You know what? I should mention Gordon Hayward looked pretty good in this one. He's someone that I was on the verge of dropping in one league. So really happy to see him get 18 points, 2 steals, 5 rebounds on 6 of 10 shooting, 6 of 7 from the line. That's outstanding. Tatum had a nice game, 15 points, 3 steals, 3 assists. He looked pretty good. Other than that, not that much else to talk about. Brown had a nice game off the bench, 23 points in 25 minutes. Some of these bench guys got some good minutes. Hayward and Brown seeing 25, with this kind of being a blowout here, 123 to 103. Neil, what do you think of the Celtics?
We talked about Hayward. Maybe he's 133 on a per game basis, but it may be not worth owning. But like you said, I think he's going to get a little bit better because Boston can afford to rest guys down the stretch. They're so deep they can rest some players, and when that's the case, Hayward can take a little more of a leading role off the bench. So I think he might be okay. I think he's going to finish better than 133, maybe not in the top 100, but I think he's going to be somewhere between 100 and 133 the rest of the season. So I would stick with him unless there's a much better option out there. Yeah, and Rozier, I picked him up. I did not know. I did not see that he was not that Irving was not starting. So, but anytime that's the case, I would throw Terry in there, and I think that's going to be probably at least 10 games the rest of the season in Boston. And if he gets traded, it'll be a lot more. So hanging on to him just to see what happens at the trade deadline, and maybe even longer, because I think they're going to be resting players down the stretch. That is it for me on Boston. Anything else? When I go to the Clippers, Miami, let's see. Tobias Harris continues to impress. Patrick Beverley, we talked about him last night. I was a little concerned about his percentages. Not too much tonight in his starting role, 34 minutes. He's going to have some good games. He's going to have some off games. He is my Danny Green. He is someone who would be too frustrating for me to own, although he could possibly do it in points leagues and maybe other leagues, but I am staying away. Shai has a pretty decent night here, if I'm pronouncing his name right. Gortat actually did okay, 10 points, 8 rebounds. And off the bench, Harrell is now back coming off the bench, 16 points, 5 rebounds, and a block. Lou Williams solid off the bench. But as long as Gallinari's out, it looks like Beverly is going to get 34 or 30 to 35 minutes tonight. And so you can roll the dice and see how he does. A tough matchup tonight going against a good Miami defensive team, at least on the perimeter, a very long team. So not a great night for Beverly. Perhaps worth a shot. I'm staying away, but the minutes will be there. Thoughts from you?
If you picked up Beverly, I am still encouraged by the start and 34 minutes. Had somewhat of a letdown game, but as you said, Neil, you made a great point. Went up against a very difficult backcourt. The Miami Heat have a lot of athletic wing defenders in their backcourt. So difficult matchup for him. I am still encouraged. I would keep Pat Beverly locked in as long as Gallo is going to miss time. And that's about all I got. Man, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, decent game from him tonight, but man, I was like on the verge of dropping him in some shallow 12-team leagues where there are some nice pickups on the wire. So this is kind of making me hang on a little bit here. So anyways, I'm going to jump over to the Miami Heat, and let's see what stands out. Whiteside, after a disappointing game last time, put up a giant double-double, 22 points to go with 16 rebounds, a steal, a block, 2 assists, efficient 10 of 13 shooting, 2 of 5 from the line. Other than that, Richardson, he's someone that we've seen struggle recently. Had a good game here, 17 points, steal, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. The shooting is still not great. It was only 5 of 15 from the field, 3 of 9 from downtown, 4 of 5 from the line. But I hope he can turn it around. One other thing that I think is important to note, Tyler Johnson getting the start and looking pretty good in this start. 15 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds, a block, 5 of 11 shooting, 1 3, 4 6 from the line. Really curious if the Heat make some moves at the trade deadline. Maybe it could open things up for a guy like Tyler Johnson. Going to take a flyer on him in one really deep league where he's available, and I am dropping someone of very low value. Other than that, not much else to add here. Neil, what do you think of the Miami Heat?
Man, they're so hard to Whiteside, like you said, had a great game, but they're so hard to, outside those Richardson and Whiteside, it's so hard for me to really trust anyone. Like Derek Jones Jr., 10 points tonight. 10 minutes tonight, just 1 point. That was really disappointing. I think the one guy off the bench you can almost count on is Dwayne Wade now with the farewell tour. 23 minutes, 13, 3, 4, and a steal. So if you need very low-end stats or you need someone just to kind of throw in there, Wade, I think, is getting very solid low-end stats night after night. That's the only guy off the bench I trust. Johnson, like you said, we'll see what happens. They may make some moves at the deadline. If they have a tighter rotation, he could be okay. But I'm going to hold off for now on him. No one else here seems interesting. I'm going to go over to the next game, Orlando against Brooklyn. Start with the Orlando side. They lose 110 to 114. Vucevic had another monster night. I'm just going to read his line out of homage to him. 21 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks, 2 steals. What a great player. Unfortunately, they do fall short. And Jonathan Isaac did okay. 16 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 blocks, and a steal. So he had what we expected when you drafted him. This is one night, though, out of, 45 so far, where it's been pretty good. So hard to trust. DJ Augustin did all right. Again, low-end point guard if you need something there. Going against Brooklyn, though, they run up and down the court. Teams usually put up good stats against them. So a little bit misleading from how it's going to play out every night. Not much else to see here. Fournier just had a off night shooting, and Aaron Gordon came back and played decently in 24 minutes. I expect him to ramp up to 30 minutes pretty soon, probably next game. Any thoughts from you on Orlando?
Jonathan Isaac, right when I was about to cut this guy, he's showing signs of life. He's showing that he has a pulse here. This is very encouraging to see. Now I gotta hang on to him, man. This is what, hey, if he could do this on a consistent basis, which I'll be honest with you, Neil, I don't believe that he can, but for the sure sake that it's possible, I gotta hang on to him. I'm talking about some deep leagues here. So this was encouraging to see. Let's see if he can keep this up into the second half of the season. One last thing here. Terrence Ross was a little disappointing tonight, but I would kind of just shake this off. 27 minutes off the bench, took 12 shots, so the minutes are still there. The usage is still there. He should shoot better than this most nights. Hang in there if you got Terrence Ross. Okay, I'm going to jump over to the Nets side, and hey, I know this is going to sound like a broken record, but D'Angelo Russell has been fantastic. Victor Oladipo went down. Victor Oladipo's an all-star. Maybe D'Angelo Russell deserves to take his spot. I don't know. 25 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds with 2 steals, 3 threes tonight, 9 of 21. I believe this is 5 straight wins for the Nets, and they're starting to roll and look good. And D'Angelo Russell is a big part why they're rolling. I think he deserves some love. Real quick, off the bench, Dinwiddie, 29 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, 10 of 17 from the field, 2 threes, 7 of 8 from the line is fantastic. This is a great game from him. Let's hope he can keep it up. If you guys are deep leaguers, if you're streaming Karooks, he looked pretty good. 13 points, 4 rebounds. A little bit of foul trouble here, 4 fouls in 22 minutes. He's starting, getting decent minutes. I think he's still worth a look in deep leagues. Other than that, nothing really stands out. Another semi-disappointing game for Jared Allen, who only had 6 points, no blocks in 29 minutes. That's pretty disappointing. He had another one earlier in the week, so let's hope he can turn things around. Neil, what do you think of the Brooklyn Nets? Oh, you know what? Speaking of, I think Hollis Jefferson got hurt again. Only played 6 minutes. If any of you in deep leagues like me picked up Hollis Jefferson, time to move on, man. Time to dump that guy.
Yeah, unfortunately, he is not. He's relegated to the bench, and then, like you said, got hurt again tonight. So I don't think he's just right this year. They've got other guys that are performing, and they're going with those guys. D'Angelo Russell, he's been phenomenal this year. We talked about earlier this year, Karis LeVert maybe was going to be most improved player. Maybe it's D'Angelo Russell. De'Aaron Fox in that category. Both those guys have been playing fantastic this year. Let's see. He'll certainly get votes for it, I believe, after what he's been doing. Other than that, I was going to mention RHJ, unfortunately, is not going to work out this year. Travion Graham is starting, but I don't think he's worth a pickup. Nothing else has really changed for me on here. Joe Harris continues to be shooting the ball very well for the shooting guard category when it's usually guys usually don't shoot around 50% from the field. He's like a Gary Harris type without the steals. All right, on to Houston, New York. I wonder where I should start here with Houston. James Harden, 17 of 38. 38 shots, Adrian. 25 free throws. 23 pointers. 23 pointers, made 5 of them, had 5 steals, had 5 turnovers. But you might have heard he had 61 points, along with 15 rebounds. How does this guy have 15 rebounds? 4 assists. That's just phenomenal. The one thing we should really highlight here, I think, is Kenneth Faried. We said pick him up. He delivered tonight, 11 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist. I did shoot 5-11 and 1 of 4, so not great there, but 3 steals and 3 blocks. If you can handle the bad free throw percentage, which may happen, the field goal percentage should be okay. Tonight's a little aberration, but the free throw percentage will not be great. He will get you those hustle stats, and he did tonight. I don't know if you saw this. Daryl Morey, I think he tweeted out that Gerald Green was going to score 30 points tonight. Did you see this?
No.
I wonder if that was like, I'm just going to say I saw that tweet. Perhaps it was a Photoshop. I don't know. But anyway, Gerald Green scored 7, just for the record. Between Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker, and Austin Rivers, one of those guys usually shines. 2 do not. Tonight it was Gordon. I would not pick up any of those guys. I don't think they're consistent enough. So I'm avoiding all 3 of those guys, despite their lack of talent around Harden right now. I would just go with Harden and Faried. No one else here I'm really interested in. What are your thoughts on the Rockets?
Man, you got to be pretty excited if you were able to pick up Kenneth Faried. Already cracked the starting lineup in his second game. Looks like he's locked and loaded. A little low end with the points, but 8 boards and the defensive stats with 3 steals and 3 blocks. That's outstanding. He should thrive in this offense. We talked about on the last show. If you picked him up, great. On a personal note, I am ready to move on from Austin Rivers, who has now given me 2 very disappointing games in a row. Ready to drop him in all my leagues. That's about all I got. Oh, and James Harden, man, outstanding. This run that he's currently on is just mind-blowing, historic, and he's amazing. Maybe one of the best scorers that this league has ever seen. Just unbelievable. All right, I'm going to look over at the Knicks, and Tim Hardaway doing what he does, 21 points, scoring the ball well, 4 threes. Kevin Knox with 12 points, 8 boards, 2 blocks, and 2 threes. Noah Vonleh looking good, double-double, 10 points, 10 boards. I love the 2 blocks and the steal. Make sure he's locked in your lineup. Moutier is starting in that backcourt, playing well. The 7 turnovers sucks. Shooting could be a problem as well. He doesn't always have the best shooting percentages, but 14 points, 2 assists, a steal, 4 rebounds, 1 3 on 5 of 6 shooting from the line, 4 of 9 from the field. Neil, the guy that's intriguing me is Alonzo Trier, who came off the bench but played with the starters down the stretch, ended up with 33 minutes and a crazy line of 31 points, a career high, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal. I'm looking this up right now. I believe this is 3 good games in a row from Alonzo Trier. And I'm ready to make a move on this guy. Yes, 31 points tonight, 16 points in the last game, 13 points the game before that. He is seeing minutes the last 2 games above the 30-minute range. I'm ready to make a move on Alonzo Trier in some of my deeper leagues. In standard leagues, just watch him. But anything over 12 teams, I'm ready to make a move on this guy. Neil, what do you think of the Knicks?
Yeah, he's had a couple of games in a row, Trier, that I like you said. So maybe worth a speculative ad. I'm worried that between they're gonna kind of be like Houston, where these wings. It's gonna be a night to night different guy. So I'm a little bit worried. I do want to mention the Enes Kanter situation. I don't know if you saw this. He was told he was going to start. He ended up being a DNP-CD. He said he's getting jerked around by the coaching staff. I don't know how he stays there any longer, or if Fizdale stays there any longer. It's crazy, sort of how that's playing out. I imagine he'll get traded, which means Mitchell Robinson played 17 minutes tonight, had 3 blocks. Definitely worth a speculative ad. Made all his field goals 5 of 5. So those 2 categories will be strong. Vonleh will continue to be strong as a low-end starter, I believe, between 1 and 120. And then let's see what happens when Cornette comes back, if he can do anything. I've watched him play. I'm not a big fan of his game, but maybe he's going to be the right guy at the right place. So perhaps he can put up some value. Other than that, Hardaway Jr. I trust. Vonleh I trust. Maybe Moutier for a point guard, but that's kind of tough as well. It's kind of borderline call. Okay.
Hey,
yes, go ahead.
One last thought. Great call by you. You know, if you do make a pickup on Trier, keep in mind it is very risky. As you mentioned, Neil, they got a slew of wing players in Moutier, Dotson, Ntilikina, Courtney Lee. They got so many guys. I'm looking for the Knicks to be major sellers at the trade deadline. There's even some buzz that Hardaway Jr. could be on the block. So I'm really hoping that the Knicks sell Cantor, some of these other veterans, and I'm hoping they just let these kids go. I'm hoping guys like Trier, Knox, and Mitchell Robinson get let loose for the second half of the season. I'm probably being extremely optimistic here. All right, sorry for the.
Oh no! I just want to add to that. Yeah, Fizdale also seems like a coach that goes with the hot hand, and he's not going to like give guys consistent minutes. And that's true. And I just worry about the consistency, and that's the one thing I like for fantasy is consistency. Anyway, I'll hop on to Detroit. Another great night from Blake Griffin. He has just been phenomenal this year. Good to see him with a nice win over New Orleans on the road, 98-94. No changes there. Bullock, oh gosh, I want this guy to be good. Just 2 of 12 tonight, though. Took 8 3-pointers, just made 1. If he could have knocked down like 3 more, it would have been a fun night for him. Zaza got the start over an injured Andre Drummond. So let's see if he's going to be out for a long time. I better look this up. Do you have anything on Andre Drummond in front of you?
Nothing on Drummond.
Oh, he's still in the concussion protocol. Yeah, he's been out for a few games. It's still out, so he should be back hopefully within another game or 2 at the most. So no need to look at Zaza at all. Reggie Jackson had a good game. He'll have these from time to time, especially against kind of a week back, at least going against Peyton in New Orleans. And then, not much else tonight from Detroit that I see that's interesting. Still watching Bullock to see if he can break out. Fortunately, he's too inconsistent for me to even think about picking him up right now. Any thoughts on the Pistons?
Just want to note Reggie Bullock, who has been really good lately. The shot was not falling in this one. Similar to what I said about Terrence Ross, I would stick with Reggie Bullock. The minutes are still there. The usage is still there. It took 12 shots. It just was not falling tonight. So stick with Reggie Bullock if you own him in deeper leagues. I think he should still be good going forward. Was playing really well before this one. That's all I got. You pretty much covered everything. Gonna look over on the Pelicans side. Neil, I picked up Okafor in a few leagues. He did not disappoint tonight, man. Double-double, but I'm not that excited about the 17 points and 10 rebounds. I know he's capable of that. 6 blocks? Where did that come from? When did he become a defensive juggernaut? I think it's a fluke. I am not counting on him on getting that kind of block output regularly, but I will take it. I picked him up in a few leagues. I'm pretty happy about it. But if you picked him up, you got to be a little disappointed because Anthony Davis, it sounds like he will not miss too much time, and that is great news for Anthony Davis owners and great news for the NBA in general because Anthony Davis is one of the best, if not the best player in the league, one of the best players in the league. So I'm really happy that Anthony Davis will be back soon. What else stands out? Drew Holiday, awesome game, 29 points, 7 assists, 5 boards on 14 and 24 shooting. That was great. Randall, 13 points, looking good. Mirotic, this is a little disappointing. Only getting 24 minutes here, 4 of 12 shooting, so the shot wasn't falling tonight. I think he'll be much better than this most nights. Stick with Mirotic, of course. He should be good.
Oh, he got injured. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, okay. So he got 20. That's so interesting. Oh, okay. It is actually noted. Doubtful calf strain. So likely that's why he saw some low minutes here. Let's hope he's okay. Hopefully it's minor. Neil, what do you think of the New Orleans Pelicans?
Yeah, I picked up Okafor. So here's my dilemma. I did not start him. I have him in a games cap league, so I can only use so many spots all season like you in that rotisserie league. Mm-hmm. He plays again tomorrow night, goes up against Steven Adams. I don't know what to do. It's back-to-back going against the man from New Zealand who's known to stop centers. Don't know if I should play him or not. I think I'll make a game time call about him. But good news on, like you said, on Davis. And maybe the 6 blocks is consistent. Maybe he has been studying at the school of Anthony Davis. Maybe he can put up like 3 blocks a night. That'd be fantastic. But he is not known for his defense, so I am joking. Don't expect him to get too many blocks. All right. Not much else here. We'll see how long. Is this the Mirotic factor? How long is he going to be out? Looks like it's, like you said, a calf strain. I have the estimated return of 126, and maybe he's going to be out for a game or so. This team will definitely need guys who can play in the front court like Okafor. We'll see if he can deliver tomorrow night. Not much else there. I don't think anyone else for next game is worth streaming. Anyway, I've got Atlanta against my Chicago Bulls. Atlanta wins 121-101. Gosh, how the mighty have fallen. Anyway, I think John Collins had a scoring high, 35 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. Great night from him. 14 from 16 from the field. My gosh. 3 of 3 from the line, 4 of 4 from three-point land, 2 steals. This guy is an NBA fantasy stud. Dwayne Dedmon, another solid night. Make sure he's owned. I'm sure he's in most teams. Bembry really struggled tonight. Just took 4 shots. Off night for him. Herder was still out, so Bembry was in there. Prince back in the starting lineup. Good to see his minutes ramping up. If he is still out there, I would pick him up now for sure. 15 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. He is going to get a lot of run down the stretch. I like him in the back half of the season. And Alex Len could be, I think this guy, if Dedmon gets moved, Alex Len, even tonight in 22 minutes, would put up a double-double. So it's possible, even as the third guy, sort of the third big guy up there, if Dedmon got moved, or gets moved, I should say, look for Len to perhaps have a decent role off the bench. We'll see. Any thoughts? Jeremy Lin had a decent night in 22 minutes. It's just too inconsistent to trust. Trae Young, another great night passing, 12 assists. Unfortunately, he took 12 shots, only made 1. That was the big worry about him this year. His field goal percentage has just not been great. He'll be fine in future years, I believe, but right now he's just a rookie struggling shooting the ball. Any thoughts on Atlanta?
Love your take on Len. And, I think the Hawks will be major sellers at the trade deadline. Even rumors, I think Bazemore will be gone. Even rumors a guy like Taurean Prince could be available, which was very surprising. Also Dedmon. So I like, you mentioned Herder, Len, all of their young guys, I think could be good for the second half of the season. All right, that's all I got. I'm going to move over to the Bulls. What stands out? Lauri Markkanen, the Finn Reaper, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 threes on 8 of 16, shooting 3 from the line. He is locked and loaded for the second half of the season. Zach LaVine, this is encouraging. Has been somewhat disappointing lately. I hope he bounces back for a strong second half of the season. 23 points, 2 steals, 4 assists, 4 boards, 2 threes on 6 of 15 shooting, 9 of 10 from the line. That is pretty good. Dunn, this is nice to see too, Neil. We were talking earlier in the week how he's been disappointing. 16 points, the defensive stats, man, the 2 steals, 2 blocks, 3 assists, 4 boards, 1 3. Let's hope he can have a strong second half this season. Other than that, Bobby Portis, Didn't have the shot falling tonight. Was only 3 of 12, but I love he's starting. He should be locked and loaded. 9 points, 2 assists, 7 boards. He's starting, getting good minutes, getting good usage with Wendell Carter Jr. shut down. So keep him locked. Not too much else to talk about. What do you think of the Bulls, Neil?
Just one clarification. I think Lopez started tonight. Porter's still coming off the bench, but he is getting, like you said, he's getting the bulk of the minutes at center. So 33 minutes tonight, which is essentially starting. And so, yeah, I think you're right. I think he's going to be fine. Portis is going to be okay. He's still 182, but he will get much better, climb up until, 120 to maybe 110, in my opinion. And then with Dunn, like you said, I had hopes this guy would be like a top 50 guy. He's 70th right now on a per-game basis. I think that's just who he is. I think he's going to have some really good games, solid games like tonight, and then some other games where he struggles. So I think he's more of a top 75, somewhere between 60 and 75 rather than 40 to 50, which I was hoping for. Also mentioned Chandler Hutchinson started, but is not really doing much in the box score or helping the team. Chicago is in trouble. They're getting ready for Zion, as you like to say. We'll see if they can get the ping pong balls to fall their way. I think they could finish in the bottom 3 of the league. All right, San Antonio, Philadelphia. I don't know if you saw this game. It was on ESPN, 122-120. Philadelphia with a nice win here. Came down to the last second. San Antonio side, Rudy Gay is back playing just fine. DeRozan had a great night. Aldridge and DeRozan, just their stalwarts there. Derek White has been solid. 36 minutes tonight. Too late to pick him up, but if you own him, you're enjoying that. Bryn Forbes, right on the border of being owned. I am still watching him. Too inconsistent for me tonight. 14 points on 5 of 9 shooting. 4 3-pointers. That's what I am hoping from him if I do pick him up. The bad thing is no defensive stats. I like to get someone with both 3-pointers and steals or blocks. Off the bench, Bellinelli played 23 minutes, but despite putting up 16 points tonight, I do not trust him along with Patty Mills. Not much here. No changes for me on San Antonio. Any thoughts from you?
Not much for me to add. You pretty much covered it all. I'm going to look over on the Philly side. Going to start with Joel Embiid. Monster game here. 33 points with 19 rebounds, 3 assists, 13 of 28 from the field. He even gave you 2 threes on 5 of 6 shooting from the line. This guy has just been bonkers. He's just been amazing. Congratulations if you drafted him. Redick with a great game doing what he does, which is bomb from downtown. 6 threes tonight for him for 19 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. It's a good game from him. Ben Simmons, triple-double. 21 points, 15 assists, 10 rebounds on 9 of 14 shooting. Didn't even really hurt you from the line. Was 3 of 4 there. Outstanding. Off the bench, they got great games from Shamet and McConnell. Shamet had 14. McConnell had 10. Don't really trust those guys, though, in standard fantasy leagues. Brewers dropped off. Neil, what do you think of the Sixers?
Yeah, Brewer I never really bought much into. I know that he's in there because Butler's out right now. Same with Chandler. It's just really Redick, Embiid, Simmons, and this is like a broken record in Butler. There's no one else who has been consistently good other than those 4. So don't even bother, I think, trying to play it unless you know how to time these well. I mean, maybe I thought McConnell might be worth starting if Ben Simmons is out, but even that's a kind of a stretch. Nothing else to add. Embiid is a beast. God bless him. I wish I would have. I thought he was going to be probably like a mid-second round value. Like somewhere around 18th. He is first round value and getting better. All right, Charlotte, Memphis. Here's another pickup that I made that has at least worked out for tonight. Nick Batum coming around. 18 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 6 of 9 shooting, 4 3-pointers, 1 block. This is the Batum that I loved at one point in my life. Kind of a quiet night from, let's see. Actually not a quiet night. Kemba Walker, 22 points. He had a solid night, 7 assists, 9 of 17 shooting, 4 steals. Lamb starting to come around, 17 points tonight. No defensive stats, but put up a 3-pointer. Shot decently, 5 of 9. Biyombo, almost double-doubles, 9 points, 10 rebounds. But like we said, Fareed, if he's out there, get him. Okafor, I think, in the time being, is worth more than Biyombo, because I imagine that Zeller will be back, it looks like, in about 2 weeks. So I would not trust Biyombo. Maybe if you're really desperate. Off the bench, Gilchrist, 20 minutes. No one there really also stepping up in that absence in the front court. I would say Batum, though, he has been steady, 105 now on a per-game basis. 8 category leagues. I think he's worth picking up again if he's still out there in your leagues.
All right. Not much for me to add there. Pretty much covered it all. Going to look over on the Grizzlies and going to start with Marc Gasol, who had a crazy triple-double. 22 points, 10 assists with 17 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 threes on 8 of 15 shooting, 4 of 5 from the line. Great game. His partner, who has been also rumored in trade and possibly being traded, Mike Conley, having a nice game. 31 points, a steal, an assist, 2 rebounds, 2 threes on 10 of 17 shooting. Perfect 9 of 9 from the line. Outstanding guys from games from their 2 veterans. JJJ, 15 points. Didn't do too much else. A block, a steal, an assist, a board, 1 3, 4 of 9 from the field, 6 of 6 from the line. I should note Justin Holiday. 40 big minutes, took 11 shots. Unfortunately, the shot wasn't really falling, but still put up a decent line of 10 points, 6 boards, and assists, 2 threes. I am really encouraged by the 40 minutes and the usage. So hang in there with Holiday. Better days may be ahead. I don't think he's ever going to get back to what he was doing in Chicago, but I still feel like he could be a low-end type of asset. If Gasol gets moved, Neil, you mentioned in the last one, JaMychal Green could be viable, and he showed tonight why. 14 points coming off the bench, a steal, a block, 3 assists, 3 boards, 1 3 on 5 of 10 shooting. Keep an eye on him. Not much else to add here. Neil, what do you think of the Grizz?
Yeah, keep an eye on them at the trade deadline, like you said. You didn't talk about your guy though, JJJ.
I mentioned him briefly. It was just a ho hum night for JJJ.
Oh, he was Yahtzeeing ones, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 block, 1 steal, 1 3-pointer. I'm Gasol is still, this guy just keeps producing at a high level. This is just phenomenal to see. He's probably been 3 years on my do not draft list because I'm too afraid he's past his prime, and he just keeps defying the odds. It's fantastic. I want to talk about Justin Holiday really quickly. Like you said, I don't think he's ever going to return to the days of Bulls, even with the 40 minutes, even assuming he gets, let's say, mid 30 minutes consistently. I think you're looking at a low-end starter at best. I'd rather roll with guys that are going to get opportunities in the second half of the season when teams tank, even if Memphis seems to be one of them. Maybe you want to roll with Holiday. I just don't think the fit's going to be the same there, and it's not going to be the same value that we had in Chicago, more like a hundredth value at best. And so that's my impressions on him there. And I think we're done, Adrian.
Yes. Hey, one last note I want to do on Memphis. Second to last place in the Western Conference, 19 wins and 29 losses. JJJ, I know he's already owned everywhere, but I look for him to go ballistic if Marc Gasol gets moved. And I think that is a strong possibility with the Grizz just basically looking horrible this season, having no shot at the postseason. So if Conley and Gasol get moved, look for the Grizz youngsters to go crazy. All right, man, that's all I got. The last game, there's one more game, but Neil will have to come back for that one without me. I'm sorry, man.
Oh, no. You're coming back. I'm not coming back.
Hey,
you've got all the Hawaiian Isles kind of coffee. You should be the one coming back.
Hey, that was great. I like that format of kind of just, going a little quicker, just talking about really the stuff that's interesting and relevant. We got through 9 games in under an hour there, and the energy felt a lot better doing that way. So that was a lot of fun, man. I enjoyed that. I'm going to get out of here, and Neil will be back for one more. Thank you guys for listening and supporting the show. Hit us up on Twitter. He's at Ball with Neil. I'm at Adrian Benjamins. We're going to be back again for tomorrow night. I'm not looking at the schedule, but Neil, I'm thinking it's probably going to be a lot lighter due to the heavy slate we saw tonight. So I'm guessing it's going to be a little bit lighter for tomorrow.
We got 4 games tomorrow, Adrian. We'll see if you can hang around for all of them next time.
Yes, and since all of them are late, I will only do one, and Neil will do the other 3. No, I'm just kidding. Just joking. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow. Neil will be back for one more. Thank you, guys.
All right, last game of the evening. Pretty exciting one, Utah versus Denver. And scrum early on with the ejections of Plumlee and Favors. Hopefully you didn't have those guys in your lineups because they only got to play a handful of minutes and did not put up any fantasy value to speak of. I think the one thing I want to take away from Denver side is conventional wisdom sometimes says do not play big men against Rudy Gobert, as he is one of the best defensive big men in the league, if not the best. But Jokic seemed to do okay. 28 points, 21 rebounds, 7 assists. 3-pointer, 2 steals, a block. So sometimes playing matchups does not work out. And those, just another reminder, it's really hard to predict. I think the one other thing that's shining from here is Will Barton off the bench, played 30 minutes, put up a phenomenal line, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 3-pointers, a steal, a block. If you've been waiting to get him back into your lineups, I'm sure he's probably owned everywhere. If not, pick him up. If you are waiting, I think you can wait no longer. That's really it. Paul Millsap, very quiet night, 18 minutes. I thought going against his old team, Utah, it might be a better night for him. It did not work out. Torrey Craig, I got a lot of minutes, but not much value. So there's no one really here that's worth owning except for the guys that we already know. And now Barton seems to be back. Utah, on the other hand, nice game from Ingles. He's been struggling this year. Tonight kind of had a game we expected. 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 14 points, 4 3-pointers, and a block. Rubio, nice game back here with 6 assists, 17 points, shot well. And then Donovan Mitchell breaking out with a 35 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Tonight, a great line that you were hoping for when you drafted him. 2 steals, 2 blocks. Kyle Korver off the bench. I thought he was streamable when Rubio was out. Now that they've got their starting 5 back, even with the Favors, short time tonight before the ejection. Korver only got 18 minutes. Knocked down 3 3-pointers and had a steal, so not a bad night there. 3 of 7 though, not great shooting. Crowder played 33 minutes. That was more of a function of the Favors ejection, so don't expect that going forward. Royce O'Neal back to the bench, and in 24 minutes, not much fantasy value if you were streaming him. That's going to do it for the box score breakdown for tonight. Thanks for listening. I'll be back on tomorrow. You can follow me at Ball with Neil. Hit me up with any questions you have or comments, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.